Ladies and gentlemen, Happy New Year, everybody. It's been a little bit longer than I wanted to, but we are back. It is the year 2024. This is the Squared Circle. I am Hollywood J. Williams, the biggest icon in North Haven. Joined, as always, by Matthew DeCourts.
That is my name, Jay. It is good to see you again, my friend. And it has been a little while. Sorry about that, folks. You know, we had the holidays, winter weather, conflicting schedules, illnesses, you name it. You know, but we are very glad to be back. And Jay, we're not alone today, right?
We're not alone here. The date is February 12th. We're going to be talking about a show coming up end of March. This is a promotion that I've never worked with before, but you do the ring announcing for it.
I do happen to work for the tremendous individual to my left, and her name is Ashley, and she has a very fun, very interesting promotion called Kaiju Pro Wrestling that I'm very, very happy to be a part of. So, Jay,
we know nothing of Kaiju Pro Wrestling.
No, I do.
You do, but I don't. So, Ashley is here.
Yes, I am. I'm here to inform you on that.
So, please inform me. When did Kaiju Pro Wrestling get started?
So, Kaiju Pro Wrestling was a COVID baby. So, during quarantine, 4 of us sat down and said, hey, it's really great working in independent wrestling, but wouldn't it be great if we liked where we worked? So, we started talking about it. I specifically got brought in because I have less wrestling knowledge and more business knowledge. So I came in to literally make sure our biggest concern was met, which was that talent we're taken care of. So it's talent first. We try to make sure everything is taken care of for them, that they're well supported. If they want development, we're there. And then over time, it just, as it always does with promoting, you find people that weren't trustworthy, and then so they leave because they get caught. And then you have people that don't want to put in the work, so they just walk away. And now we're down to 2 owners. Myself, I do primarily all of the business side, the booking, and the event of, so all the actual promoting. And he does all the finance side. So he handles all the money, making sure our goals are met, everything. He is an ex-wrestler. He is actually a former Connecticut legend. He formerly went by Blackthorn when he retired with us in 2022. Okay. But he is previously known as the Irish Viper.
Interesting.
Yes. So Derek has been a wrestler in Connecticut for almost 2 decades. So
going back.
Yeah. So I got brought in learning the whole way of how bad it really used to be in locker rooms. Now it's so much better, but I've heard the horror stories. I've lived the horror stories. So with Kaiju Pro, our main focus has to be a happy, friendly, drama-free environment for the staff. That helps the whole day go smoother. They know they're getting paid, regardless of how the turnout is. We budget everything so that if we take a loss, it's us, not their problem.
Right. And that's important.
It really is. And I feel like a lot of promotions, I don't think they convey that to the talent. And then they wonder why talent really don't know what goes on when you run a promotion. It's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Right.
Constant.
No, and one thing that you mentioned was, taking care of the talent. And, I can definitely attest to it, that it is a really great environment to be a part of. Like I said, I'm just a ring announcer. I'm not, a wrestler. But just kind of as an example, one of the things was at the end of the night from the show in, when was it, November, I believe? Yes, the November show. I got my envelope at the end of the night. If you know, you know, will not explain. But on that envelope, there was a little note, and it said, to the snazziest ring announcer ever. And, I had noticed that, and it genuinely made me smile. It was a very nice gesture. And after the contents were emptied, I'm being completely 100% honest here. I cut that part out, and I stuck it on the side of one of my posters in my wall because, like I said, I look at it, and it makes me smile. And I spoke about this on another podcast to I think all of our friend Rick Del Santo.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Shout out to Rick. What's up, my man?
I love Rick.
Hi, Rick.
But we were talking about the show, and I said, I'm kind of lucky that all the locker rooms that I've been a part of, 99% of them, I can say, they're welcoming, friendly. I've been treated with kindness and respect. But I did say with your show there was, it felt different in the best way possible, in the sense that it's like, it is kind of hard to put into words, but it's like you can tell there's just that little extra level that goes into that. And I think, to kind of formulate this into a question now, I think that kind of goes into the fan experience as well, correct? I think you
Yes.
want to.
Yes. I mean, my theory is, ideally, if the talent are having the most fun possible, then they're going to give 150%. They're going to give their full effort if they're having fun. If they're having fun, then what's going to happen is the audience is going to have more fun. They don't necessarily have to know an existing storyline. And realistically, they will follow along. And I mean, you were at the show. They were hooked as soon as... I also do another thing, and I think this is a big part of it for the talent. I don't do curtain jerking. The first spot on the show is actually one of the most pivotal parts I book. It is the hardest spot for me to book, harder than a main event. And that is because it's setting the tone for everybody else. And that is like, you want it to come out of the gate hot, ready to go. So there's a lot of pressure when I put people in that spot, but I always try to pick people that I know will benefit from having that surge, because they're the first interaction with the crowd. So they are going to be so much more than the second, third, fourth match. And then you're going to be getting into other stuff. So
It's like the opening segment sets the tone for the whole
exactly
program.
Exactly. And so I try to start that off like right at the go. So we want my goal is usually that the first match needs to be an A match, because then it can balance out anything else from there. Anything else. And that also means that, I mean, it takes off the pressure too of having a main event. Everybody wants a main event. I already have 2 every show. So I already split that in half, but it's like, that's our way of giving something else besides a main event. They're able to come in and like start off the show and really, and the debuts are usually the people who ask for those the most. They're like, can I come out first? And I'm like, all right.
So it's the beginning.
Yep. And the end. You're
And the end.
Yeah. You're the start of the day, and you're the nail in the coffin. How are you starting and ending that show? Are people going to want to come back? So.
And you have big attendance.
Typically, yes. The last show in Bristol was a little low. A lot of that was because we really had a hard time with advertising, because I do it by myself. So I was out flyering multiple towns. I was flyering Thomaston, Terryville, Bristol, and Plymouth, and I tried to start going into Burlington. And by then I was like, I'm just so tired. I can't. I couldn't do anymore. But yeah, it was more like, let's just get a show out here, see if the town's going to be receptive at all. The town really was, because people found out about the show after. We're like, oh man, I missed it. When's the next one? March 24th. And we let them know, oh, why so long? The winter. I don't want to have to cancel a show. It's flu season. Everybody's rushing for the holidays.
yes.
I don't want to deal with any
In
of
the
it.
winter too.
Yeah, and it's New England. I mean, look, we're going to have a foot of snow tomorrow probably. So I don't like playing around with it. So usually the end of March we have, so I do seasons. I do a spring season, a summer season, fall season, then we shut down for the winter. It does also help me get things booked out faster. So further out, I can start planning out storylines with people. I can touch base on people that maybe are trying to travel out and trying to get my biggest goal with that is trying to get other promotions to say like, hey, I have so-and-so coming out here. If you wanted to bring them in, if you have a show going on around that time, let me know. I'm willing to work with them to plan out dates so that we can save on the talent coming out.
Right, so you're not running a show the same night as somebody else.
Right. I run on Sundays. I mean, I'm running the definition of a family-friendly event environment. It's a PG show, so yes, there is of course violence. There's no bloodletting. We don't do deathmatch. It makes me nervous. I have you remember this from the speech before the show. I have one rule in the building, and the building manager agrees with me: no glitter. We just don't allow glitter. Trying to get that off a canvas is brutal.
Yep.
So I just politely request anything but glitter. But yeah, we don't do any bloodletting or deathmatch stuff. We do free admission for kids 7 and under with a general admission ticket. So yeah, so like literally a single dad that's having a hard time can take his kids,
That's
or even a
important.
single mom that just wants to do something fun on a Sunday. There's nothing to do in Connecticut on a Sunday. So it's a 2:00 start. It's meant for, you come out after church and you just want to get the kids wound out so that, grandma can cook dinner. Take them to a wrestling show. Cost you $20 and the kids have a good time. You go home after, everybody had a good day. Even the merch, I highly encourage everybody to bring their merchandise, sell it. Even our KPW merchandise is meant to be cheap enough for kids to buy. And it's all aimed at families. So
It's good. I mean, I noticed something even with the mainstream wrestling. When they run pay-per-views once a month,
yeah.
it just gets, WWE does this all the time.
You get exhausting.
It gets exhausting. There's nothing to look forward to. That's the one thing about AEW. They only run maybe 4 pay-per-views a year. Now you have something to look forward to every season. So would you say, like, by running 3 times a year, you sort of look forward to the next kaiju?
Yes. So that I believe that I do eventually want to run monthly, but I want to have an actual team underneath us first.
Right.
Because it is just me doing it all. It's more for my sanity to do it bi-monthly. But like having the long break was to finish restructuring the brand, figure out what we want to do with content, like the next stages of everything was purely, like, hey, we have a couple months, we can sit down and talk this stuff out. I don't have to do it on a Wednesday night for no reason. But yeah, it's really, it is something to look forward to. Everybody's getting jonesed up. Pre-sale tickets are going out, and it's great because it's nice to see that. Sponsors stepped up as soon as we mentioned it, which is nice. We still have a lot of vendor spots and a lot of sponsor spots. But just even like putting it out there and seeing it come to fruition after one show. And these were people that didn't come to the show that are like, darn, I missed it. Now I have to come to the next one. Means we put out a great product because they're dying for that footage that we haven't figured out what we're going to do with yet. And by we, me. But that's all part of it. I want to make kaiju stand out. I want it to be different. A big portion of what I believed as far as the direction for kaiju is everybody wants to be, the next WWE, the next AEW. I don't. I want to be the CBGB. I want to be the little train stop on the way through when you go through the indies. Like, if you're going to hit Connecticut, I want to be like, I worked at Kaiju. You don't have to be there every show. It's the fact that I want people to just be excited to have the opportunity. And part of that was my recruiting initiative that I started last year.
Yeah, that's honestly how I got to know you, is because I'd see you pop up here and there, and I was like, who's that? And
I'm everywhere.
And then I was like, who's that? And they're like, oh, she runs Kaiju Pro Wrestling. I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. And it definitely is. And like I said, I'm very happy and proud to be a part of it. Thank you, Mama.
We're very
Kaiju.
happy to have you.
And, but...
So by popping up, she's been to other promotions.
Oh, yeah. I'm a huge proponent of, my door is always open. I have no issues with any other promoter. I have no issues. I've run in New Jersey. I've run here. One of my associates is a company out of Long Island. I have offered partnerships to schools in upstate New York. To me, it's not a distance thing. We are part of an industry, and part of that industry is supporting the talent. And by supporting the talent, you have to give them places to work. You have to share, you have to expand out. And I know a lot of promoters are scared to take chances with people. Some people are rather expensive to test out with.
Right.
You don't know if you're gonna get your investment back. I'm one of those people, I'm willing to make that risk. I don't ask for anything back. I just want to show that I'm trying to give my part. I'm not an ex-wrestler, so I'm trying to make sure that the business side thrives, and that allows you guys to keep going for more generations, because then there's still a business to go to.
Absolutely. And I want to double back to one of the things you mentioned. You said you want to try and stand out a little bit and be different. And one thing I noticed on the last one was that there was a British Bulldog strongman match, which I had never heard of before.
Yes.
And so it was a very unique match type. And so is that something that we can look forward to in the future? Some more interesting matches and different types of stuff that you wouldn't see anywhere else?
Well, you guys get some exclusive information with this, especially with that question. Because every show has something special that nobody seems to want to take a chance with, and I'm willing to do it. So the talent love it, because you're like, I love it, let's do it. And I'm like, yes! As long as I have their backing, I'm not asking anybody to do anything dangerous. So March, we started running March of 2022 in New Jersey, in Old Bridge, New Jersey. So March is kind of our anniversary month. So coming back in March, the same weekend actually, which even the November show was the same weekend we previously ran. We just keep seeming to get similar dates regardless of where we run. So I've turned it into kind of like an archival thing where I bring back something from the first year and we try to recap it. So last time was the new belts. We centered around our brand new belts. We brought out our heavyweight championship and our Phoenix division, which brings into what I'm about to talk about. With March, it's our first show was a tag tournament for our tag championship belts that are eventually going to be redone. They're actually being refabricated right now.
Ooh.
Yes, they're being repainted. They're getting a facelift for now.
See, folks, you got a lot to look forward to.
Right.
Well, the other belts are gorgeous, so I'm like, hey, can we get these a little prettier? So they're being repainted right now. But the tournament was kind of like a good idea. And then we realized that we really haven't had to increase the tag division since those belts were incepted because we've been maintaining, we've had established belts. So the insanity that I am decided that this March, not only are we creating original intergender tag teams, I'm creating an entire what I call a Cupid's division, which are going to be wrestling partners in real life, are going to be tag teams. Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
I didn't even know about this, folks. This is a big bombshell here. Like I said, I'm a part of the group, and I still didn't know. This is very cool to hear.
Yeah, no, and
cool.
Matt knows with the talent group, because it's a talent group, not a workers page. It's a talent group. I encourage everybody to throw ideas out there. Other promoters come in and throw out ideas and say, hey, what do you guys think? And it's supposed to be a safe place for feedback.
Nowhere else is there an intergender tag team champion.
Everybody's scared of it. And I understand why. I really do. I understand why. It's because
I can, yes.
Yeah, it's because it's new and challenging, and it's definitely something that it's scary. It's scary because if it doesn't bode well, it's just not going to go well.
You're talking about men wrestling women.
Yes, and so
Right.
and that's why that's why I think if you're pairing people with the same capability level, it takes that stress out. And it's also encouraging that if there are a couple that are uncomfortable with the actual intergender wrestling, that's why we have the intergender couples, because then there's automatically 2 women and 2 men in the ring, and they can go by their comfort zone. I am a big proponent of if they are not comfortable, they do not do it. Period.
Right.
I let them write their matches out. They essentially show up, and I give them a sheet and go, okay, today, this is who's winning.
Right.
And they find out that morning if they're even winning. So
when the man tags the woman in, the other team doesn't not have to.
they don't have to cross over. It's all about them. When they discuss it before the match, we also have them dry run to see
Right.
their comfort zone. Because if somebody's really, I would rather they take, like I do slotted time in the rings now for the next show. There's been so much clerical stuff from the last show. Like putting out timetables and stuff. I want to give people enough time to go in there, work together, because the other thing that I specialize in with Kaiju is I want all of these matches to be first time ever matches. It's not just the main events. I want to find opponents they've never had. Part of that is they're not comfortable working with them. They have to push themselves through it. So they're really going to have to think about it and plan out those matches. And if they're going to give me A, I guess you're going to have to put in the effort to match. So it's kind of my way of like allowing them to get those bragging rights off of working at Kaiju, because I have a 2-year waiting list. So if they got brought in, that's nice.
You're giving the talent a challenge.
I have a 50% debut rate every show this year. Half of my roster, every single show this year, will be brand new people. So my goal was 100 people.
Compared to other promotions, that's high.
Yeah. Most of them, it's the same core 18 people with a couple of special or a big name. I'm doing the complete opposite. It's constantly a stir. I have everybody on rotation. So like the people that are in May that were already in November, or March that were already in November, are going to come off rotation. and they go to like a local roster where if somebody calls out, I can slide them in. But they've gotten there 2 for the year, and then I can slide them out unless we have a reason to bring them back. The other thing I've been doing, and this is a direct shot at probably every promoter out there, all my title defenses are real. They can lose that day. I don't play. Because here's the thing is, yeah, you can have a bad match. That's one thing. But if it's consecutive, I don't want to have to end the storyline. We'll just end it at that match.
Just move on.
And just move on. So every person who gets that main event opportunity is realizing, oh my goodness, like I could be leaving a champion tonight. And I think it gives that incentive to work just as hard because I write Memphis style. So they have a set time to tell their story. Mm-hmm. That's it. They've got a set time.
And speaking of which, another thing that I liked about it is one of my good friends and the original, hold on, how's he like it? The legendary original beast and hardcore nightmare of New England, Bull Dread, is the ref general over at Kaiju. So tell us a little bit about what that entails, because I was not personally familiar with that until the November show myself.
What's a ref general?
Yes. So
I've never even heard of that.
So a ref general comes back from way back in the Memphis days, the way backs, where you kind of now what they would be as a commissioner. So essentially he's a commissioner, but he comes out and decide he is the ultimate ref. Mm-hmm. So even though somebody else may be reffing that match, if he sees something not going the way it's supposed to, he can go in and end it however he wants. He has carte blanche for management.
That's different.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Puts in a little bit of if somebody's going to go out there and get hurt, he'll end that match. If somebody's going out there, and that's the whole point in having them dry run the matches, is so that we can see what's supposed to happen, and if it's not going right or if something actually does happen, we can intervene faster. Mm-hmm. My biggest concern is always safety. Always.
Of course.
Always. I never want, and that is a big risk when I am putting people against people they've never wrestled before.
They're not familiar with each other.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So it's a challenge to be there on that day, but it's also a challenge to kind of do all your stuff right. I'm making them work for the paychecks.
They're not familiar with each other. They might not even know each other.
That's the fun part is when people reach out and they're like, so who's my opponent? Who's my opponent? Who's my opponent? Am I on the show? And I'm like, I'll put out the list. And then like even the last time I announced it to the group, I didn't put out the matches. I just put out who's debuting, who's returning. Mm-hmm. So they don't even know who their matches are yet. The people in the matches know who they're going against.
Right. But
that's it. It's going to be a shock. Even the refs don't know who they're reffing till that day. They come in, I have a call sheet, and I circle, and I give everybody their own call sheet. It's all up here. It's lock and key in the Booker's book. Mm-hmm. And I write multiverse style, so I write so that we can jump timelines. It's fine. Everything's doable. I can work with other feds on if they want to push something that I'm working on. I can accommodate it. I accommodate with Titan all the time. So Titan shares a lot of our New Jersey roster. So I say if you're going to split tag teams up, let me know. Like I'll go along and I'll keep it smooth for them. I don't have to. I'm in Connecticut. No. but Billy Fetsky was an amazing resource when I came up and started, and I literally got handed a company with no clue what I was doing. So he was the first one to step in and be like, you got this. And so that first positive reinforcement in wrestling from another male promoter was enough to make me go, okay, there's other male promoters out here that will back me up. There's female promoters that are now stepping forward and working with me, which I think is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I'm just too stubborn to go away.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. I'm like a dandelion. I refuse. I'm going to grow in the concrete.
And speaking of that too, like I've heard you mention this before. I've seen you post about it a few times. What's it like being a female promoter? Because, in my experience, it's just the ratio of male to female promoters in the wrestling sphere. It's, as far as I can tell, it's pretty uneven.
Yeah, it's itty bitty. We are definitely, we're a rising breed, which is nice. I'm very happy that women are joining the wrestling industry in this capacity. Mm-hmm. There is no reason why we shouldn't be. I will say some of the hardest parts are how fast people automatically assume whoever is answering whatever is a male. I mean, I'm usually sassy about it. I'm like, just so you know, if you want to research this a little bit, it's a female-run company. And I'm like, I put a little like Midwestern twang in there, and they're like, oh, that's awesome. And I'm like, yes, just giving you a heads up for the next time you reach out to somebody. But it is honestly, it's hard. It is hard. The amount of self-confidence you have to give yourself is staggering, because it's hard. Like I mean, there's other female promoters. Like we have Delmi XO. I mean, she's an amazing. What she does with Grind blows my mind. I literally
She's
go.
one of my favorite people out there.
I drive all the way to those shows every month to go help, whether it's setup or breakdown. I was still buying a ticket for the longest time. She yelled at me eventually and was like, "Stop it! You come here and you help." And she was like, "This is you're part of our family." And I literally go up there because it's like the grown-up version of my show, and I love it. It's like if I could do a bar show, I would want to run it like Grind. And I'm like, so I'm gonna go support this every single month.
I
And
was just up at Grind 2
love
weeks
it.
ago.
I was there. I was hiding in the corner. Because that's what I do. I go up there and I stick to myself. But yeah, I absolutely love Grind. Absolutely love it.
Rip Bison almost ran into me.
Rip's such a sweetie. I love that.
Cool.
I had to find that the most interesting thing about wrestling is when I got into it is that the heels are the nicest people, and I love making people go heel. It's like I need you to be mean. I just need you to be mean.
And they always seem to have the better entrance music too, for whatever reason.
It's because you have to be angry.
Right.
They're just accessing all of the anger all of us are feeling all the time. That's coming out at the ring. But yeah, being a female promoter, it's just rough. It's hard to feel like we're taken seriously. And a lot of it is because just like naturally I'm a very nice and comforting person. So when I crack the whip, everybody kind of like gets scared, and I'm like, but guys, I'm in charge. I have to crack the whip.
You have to.
I have to. I'm the boss lady. I have
yeah.
I have a desk plaque that says boss lady. I have to do it. And it's like, I'm sorry, guys. And then I'm like, don't apologize. So just crack the whip and walk away. So like part of that is having a team. A team will, I highly suggest my advice to anybody, male or female or whatever you identify as, if you want to open a wrestling promotion, don't do it by yourself. I know 3 of us total that do this by ourselves, and we're all insane. We all work together very well.
Controlled chaos.
It is controlled chaos because, and it's not a trust issue either. It's just when you have to figure out how you're running a company, how do you convey what to do to somebody else when you haven't figured out how to do it yet? It's hard to give somebody direction when you're like, so we're going to figure this out today. And I feel like it's going to be an episode of Muppet Babies.
That's a throwback right
Yeah, right? Like, I feel like it's legit going to be a Muppet Babies episode where we're going to learn how to run a wrestling promotion today, everybody. But you saw with the last show, I was very quick to show you guys how metrics were working. I was showing them like why I say, hey, can you guys share specific posts? I would show them the metrics and say, look, it shows me how many people you guys share it to and how many people actually viewed it and how many people clicked in. And so when you guys are just sharing willy-nilly, like, or remaking stuff, yes, it's tagged, but I can't really track how our stuff is doing. Because if I could see certain areas are buying tickets, I can make it easier on us by strictly marketing those areas.
Right.
So part of that was I felt like nobody ever taught us this stuff when I was starting out in the industry. So I was like, that's it. I'm going to teach this to them. And that's part of it, is even if they're not booked on our show. Red Dog's been doing, he's going to be editing our video promos, and he's amazing. And he's going to start he wants to do live action captures at the show.
Ooh, I like that.
So he could put those into post. So he started those last show. And he asked if he could do it. And I was like, yeah, why not? It's something you want to experiment with. Here, you have carte blanche, do it. So it was really exciting for him to get his own little area of the photography room. And he's like, I have my stuff. And like now I have an even bigger, we're not putting them in the closet this time.
Oh,
yeah, we're actually
there
going to
we
have a
go.
locker room outside of the room this time.
Hey!
So yeah, last show was hilarious with trying to figure out where we were going to put everything. Because we had not had any logistics for that room physically for the ring until the day of the show. My ring
You
isn't.
didn't know where you were going to put the ring in this place.
I mean, I did walking in. Like
Right.
I looked at the hall. I looked at the Lincoln room and went, okay, it can go exactly here. So when I walked in that morning, I was like, all right. I was like, and then we had to start talking like, okay, do we want to lowboy this next time? And like, but it's logistics. You only know by running it. And so part of the thing with Kaiju is going to bi-monthly was to help spread out the cost of running because it's just two of us affording this, and we're building. But that was part of it, was giving me time to look at stuff and say, what can we change for the next show, and continuously get better so that when we have the formula, we'll run monthly and we'll be like everybody else. But I will still be scouting to see what dates people are running. I still want to be respectful to everybody. I just feel like
It's important.
I feel like it shows teamwork in an industry, and we're an industry where it's supposed to be competitive. But I think there's a level between competitive and soul crushing, and I would like to not be in the soul crushing
Right.
bucket.
You gotta have respect for others.
I mean, I already know I'm taking ticket hits by working on Sundays. I know that. I could have done the same by running on Fridays, but to me, it was more about the talent. Most of them are working on Saturdays. I don't want them double booking. I would rather they get up here and crash somewhere for the night.
Right.
And I ask people if they need carpools. Like I know I go above and beyond other promoters, but I do it because I feel like these are things that they don't have happen for them.
You really
otherwise.
take a hit though? It's on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh yeah. The church crowd, which I find hilarious because it's like we're after church and we're literally right next door to a church who lets us use their parking lot. But okay. Honestly, I asked feedback from the talent last show because it was the first time I ran a 2:00 show. I was like, let's see how this does. I mean, any earlier, we're getting kind of into like lunchtime and like cranky kid nap time, versus like if we start later, then we're kind of encroaching on like everything's closing. What if I have to run to the store before it closes because 6 p.m.'s coming?
Yeah, you
So
start
I'm like,
starting between 2 and 4 is
right.
ideal.
We're running 2 to 4:30. I mean, it's not that bad. And I am pretty adamant about we start on time. I'm a stickler for that because that clock schedule is in my brain.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, let's go. I think we held it last time because I was still putting on my makeup, and I was like, I don't like when I have to postpone the show for myself. But in all fairness, I was like literally half dressed and I was opening the show, and then I think I hid for half the show because I was like, I didn't want to do it. I was like, Matt, you can go out there. It's fine.
I got the
I was
go
gonna-
signal.
I was
I'm
gonna
like,
introduce
hello,
them.
everybody.
I was gonna go out and introduce him and say hi as the GM, and duck out, and then I was like, no, I don't feel like doing it again. I've been doing it for 2 years. It's like, I'm good. I'm kind of good. I get to retire.
That's what we call improvising, everybody.
Yes. And Matt does a fantastic job with that.
Thank you.
A lot of that is just you guys come in and you feel that energy and the love of that building, and the crowd feels that love of the building, and everybody there is happy to be there. My favorite reaction was Pete Corvus. He literally walked into my locker room. I've known Pete Corvus since my GTS days. And he always used to go, when are you going to book me on Kaiju? And I'm like, yeah, we'll get to it. And then I stopped running in New Jersey. And he kept going, I don't know if I want to come up to Connecticut. I was like, you can come up to Connecticut. I'll bring you. And I remember I drove down to Monster Factory to recruit him. So I recruit by shaking hands. I go physically meet people. They don't get DMs. I think only a couple people have ever gotten DMs from me about booking.
More personable.
Well, I believe in I'd rather go see your match, and even if it's not the best match, I'd rather see how you handled it.
Right.
I honestly, genuinely treasure talent. You're not always going to have a good match. You're not. I've seen some singers where I'm like, what was that? I've seen them at my own show. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I do think it is important for them to know, like, I came out to see your talent shine. And even if it wasn't a great match, or even if your opponent screwed everything up, or they've stuck you with somebody green and you've never met them, and the fact is I'll see the effort long before anything. And I'll know right away when I shake that person's hand if they're going to be okay in that locker room.
So you can walk in somewhere where you've never been and watch a match and go, all right, I want him for Kaiju, or I want her, or I don't.
Yep. Yep. And a lot of that came from, I drove all the way to Excite to go, last May I ended up on the pre-show with Danny Adam. I had my gear in the car. Number one rule of wrestling, everybody, is always have your gear.
Always bring your gear.
And I went out to Excite because Cade and Skyros were having their championship match, and Cade was like, I really want you to come out and scout me. Like, I know you want to hire me, but I want you to scout me. And I was like, okay, Cade, since I'm wearing your shirt today. His new merch, by the way, will be at the Kaiju show on March 24th. And I was like, okay, well, while I'm here. And I scouted their students. and I worked the pre-show match with the students, and I went out there and I valeted so that I could give them feedback. And then I told them who should hit me up and who shouldn't. And I literally was like, this is what you need to work on. I have no problem with that because I was brought into this industry based on the fact that I can understand technical wrestling very well. I'm new to it. I'm still like a little kid where you used to memorize those matches. I still do it because I've only been into wrestling for less than 10 years. So I
You've been
started
watching it on television and everything.
Oh, when my daughter was born and I started watching wrestling with her father as a way of bonding. That was when WWE Network started. We dove deep to the point where we didn't have anything else but WWE Network. So I went down the rabbit hole, and I went backwards. Finn Balor, it's all your fault. He started off by introducing me to Finn Balor, and I was like, technical wrestling. Ooh. And after that, I was like a minion. It was wrestling. I was the chick that, everybody came in on Tuesday and they're like, did I watch Raw? Let's talk. And like I would predict matches and it would piss people off. And that part kind of cracked me up because they would come in and be like, WrestleMania week, and be like, so, and I'd be like, here's my picks. I'm not even gonna watch. And then they come in the next room and be like, how? And I'm like, I know the stuff. I can spot the storylines. I'm a writer. I can spot the storylines, so I can tell where they're going, where they're not.
You can tell who's going to win a match watching WWE.
It's annoying.
You're usually right.
I'm typically, yeah. My boyfriend has a field day with that because he's not a wrestler, so he's just a childhood wrestling fan. So he comes to my shows, and it cracks me up because he'll like send me like stuff from like the other night. He'll be like, "The Rock's gonna be wrestling." I was like, "No, he won't." And he's like, what? And I outlined the whole story. And then it came out. And I was like, and he was like, this is why you do that. I was like, this is why I write this. This is why I write the way I do. I try to be unpredictable. Everybody thought that belt was going to be Mike Skyros, the last show. Everybody was banking on I was putting my heavyweight title belt on Mike Skyros. And then I didn't. Mike was like, this is great.
Not predictable.
It was not predictable whatsoever. Nobody would have ever thought I was going to have the women main event over a heavyweight title debut.
Very worthy main event too.
Oh, Big Juicy and Tiffany Avatar. I have chills. I wanted to book that match for so long. I love Juicy. She was one of the first females I ever scouted up here. And I was like, I have to find the perfect person for her. And I had Tiffany, and Tiffany has evolved so much over just the last year on herself. I couldn't not have that be the match where that belt comes out. And they literally met that morning. They dry ran that match until the show. And then after, they went over everything, and they really did not miss a button. They played into each other. They had the charisma of Memphis wrestling writing. They had everything we asked for, and they proved that you can do it right then and there. So they set a standards, and everybody else has to follow it. If they're up for a challenge, I'll take them over at Kaiju. We'll give you a shot.
See, that's what I'm already looking forward to. Unpredictability.
Yes. And the hardest part is, and so I adore Mike Skyros. Everybody knows I'm a huge Skyros fan. My daughter is like literally a super fan. She has signs for him and his trading cards, and I have to buy all of his T-shirts because they're not usually in kid sizes at the shows, Mike. So if you want to start carrying like, just a medium kids or like a small adult just on the side for me, I'll just start buying her clothes instead. I almost wore my Skyros hoodie, my heel shit design.
HS Apparel, shout out.
My HS Apparel stuff. But yeah, I want to push Mike. Mike is a phenomenal wrestler. The amount of training that him and this other students from IOPW are just, I don't even know how to describe it. I literally have messaged them and been like, I applaud how well you guys teach your students. They teach them so much of the psychology and not just the wrestling part. They teach them how to be good workers, how to show up on time, how to, they establish a behavior in them that is disciplined. And it's so nice to see. So nice. And they're a delight to have. They all carpool. They plan it all out. They advocate for each other. They'll push each other to do the right thing. I love having them at my shows. And Syracuse puts out some banger students. and they just had their first WrestleCues, and I'm so proud because that town deserves to have like a wrestling fed. They're putting out amazing students, and they don't even have a wrestling fed right now.
This is upstate New York.
Syracuse, of all places. Yeah, the fact that Mike Skyros drives out like 5 hours one way for us, it just, yeah.
Where's Mike Skyros from? He's from up there?
Skyros. Skyros is from Syracuse. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so is Polar Effects.
Yep.
And I've got Jake Whipple is on the list to come in, Jacoby Riddick. I have a lot of other people scheduled to come out. Corey Jackson is actually going to be Just Saying's first title defense.
Ooh.
Yep. I'm splitting up black and yellow. For now. That was another part too, that when I had talked to Corey about the opportunity to be in the singles division, he was like, but what about Ting? And I'm like, well, about that. So here at Kaiju, everybody's fluid, meaning they don't have to stay in one division. If they want to experiment, like Cade came to me and was like, I would like to, I have a few more years left in this. I would really like to do some more tag work. And I was like, so you say tag. How do you feel about her? And I point at Sammy Chaos, and he goes, I can work with Sammy. And I went, make it so. And then after the match, I talked to Sammy, and she was like, heck yeah! And I was like, and Beasts of Chaos are born, so they get to debut against BMT and Ariel as our first intergender tag match.
Wow.
So that's gonna be pretty awesome.
That does sound really good.
I got Nair Robles coming up from Puerto Rico for Tiffany.
Okay.
So the Phoenix division will be defended. Tiffany is one of the hardest working champions I think I've ever seen, because this girl is like, I don't want a cushion. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't want an off time. I want to defend that belt every single show. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, no, really, I want to defend it every single show. And I'm like, go for it. You got it.
The
Do what
way
you
a
gotta do.
champion should be.
And she's like, and I even told her, I was like, listen, and I do plan by their schedules too. I do ask the champions, and especially the challengers too, let me know what your bookings look like the couple weeks before and after. I don't want to put them, if Tiffany's got a table match like a week later, I'm not going to put her through something that's going to potentially stress her body out so much that she'll get hurt then.
Right.
That doesn't do me any good. So that allows them to communicate with me about what they need as far as me on that show day. And that, I think, is a little bit of that above and beyond that we actually try to do at Kaiju.
Absolutely. And you already dropped some names about what's coming up, and we got a show coming up on March 24th, right?
Yes, at the Lincoln Room in Bristol. We have a permanent home. As much as Ansonia was great to us in 2022, we wanted to be closer to our home base, and I and Derek, both of us, live in Bristol, so it made sense. We are a mom and pop shop. Once our third partner left, we're like, this kind of makes no sense to keep running in random towns. We should be where we are. And then I started the search of where's going to be our home base, because I don't want to bounce places. I want to have the crowd know where they're going. I have a laundry list of things I want from a venue. I can put together a show quickly. I do not work miracles. That can sometimes be debatable. But the Lincoln Room is amazing. Just the Bristol community has been amazing to us.
Is it a sizable place? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Let's say comparable to the Boys and Girls Club out there?
So with the size, I know Tetsu runs out of the Boys and Girls Club.
Right.
I love going to the Tetsu shows.
Tetsu's amazing.
I love the Tetsu shows.
Shout out to Tetsu.
Yes, Tetsu Pro and Doc Warren's an amazing human being. I can't wait to do some charity work with him with Kaiju. So eventually we will be able to. I would say it's about maybe a little bit bigger because they usually section it off for the locker room. So we actually last show we had the locker room in the hall trying to kind of navigate the space and see what we could do with it. And I went, we need more chairs. So since we need more chairs, we actually now have a locker room in another part of the building. And it'll be warmer, so we won't have to worry about everybody being cold, which is nice. So we're actually swapping around how the entire room is set up this time, and it'll be a lot more free-flowing and a lot more friendly, and also give us a lot more room for them to open up merch tables.
Nice.
So, because that's my big thing. I want them bringing merch. I want them selling stuff to the community. I wear these shirts, and I love my talent. I buy T-shirts from them all the time, and I literally walk around town constantly in some form of a wrestling shirt.
That's good.
Yeah, my boyfriend saw a shirt the other day that was not a wrestling shirt. And was like, "You do own one."
They do exist.
I was like, "Sometimes, yeah." But yeah, I want them to know. I want them to go, "Who's this Mike Scares guy? This chick wears in a Starbucks all the time. Like, he's the Moonlight Sun. You should look him up." He'll be here on March 24th. Actually, usually that Starbucks is the first ones that are like, "Can we have flyers?" And they put them out.
That's good.
They
Nice.
love us. It helps that we have the Kaiju Corgi. We have a mascot. we have a service dog.
yes.
So we have a Kaiju Corgi that now will be at all the shows. So she came to VPW in December. And everybody was like, "She's so well behaved." I'm like, "She's used to wrestling. She's used to wrestling. Loud noises don't bother her. She's a service dog." So she's just like, "Whatever. I'm here. I'm cute. Everybody pet me." But no, I am excited for March 24th. The Lincoln Room is a great hall. We are going to be having, hopefully, we're working on something with Hometown Pizza to be sponsoring some of our concessions. So what we typically do is, like I said, everything's supposed to be family friendly, which also means family affordable to me. And I'm a single parent. So I understand how hard it is when
Right.
you want to take your kid out, and they are going to want to spend every penny in your wallet. They're going to, and you're going to want to say yes because you want to have to be the nice parent, which is why general admission tickets stay at $20. I know everybody else is raising their prices. I've kept it at $20. That is a reasonable. Everybody can grab a 20 from the ATM. You know what I mean? Like that's the easiest
not hard.
method.
Right.
It's the easiest way to budget ahead is for something that's small, and that covers at minimum 2 children under 7. Which I mean that's also a huge age gap. I know I've gotten some eye rolls for that, and I was like, oh. 7 is the age when they want to sit down and watch it. I want them included. If it means I lose some money on seats, then that's fine. I'd rather have the seat filled with somebody who's going to enjoy the show.
Right.
And the same thing is by switching to pizza. We did fancy concessions last time, and it made it expensive. So I was like, okay, let's switch to pizza and soda and water, and so next time we'll have a special where it's like 2 slices and a bottle of water or a soda for $5.
Yeah.
Well, now you can feed
wanna
the
have
kids.
something. You want to have something quick.
Right, and not just that, like now you can feed the kids.
You don't
And
need
you're
a
still
deli
not-
counter over there.
Right. We just need people to sling the pizza, and I even have like professional warmers and everything, so like it's still gonna be hot pizza. It's gonna be nice, and so I wanted to work it out with a local place that would be, great with us because I want to also help them. I love their pizza, so I'm like, let's get them out here. I've gone out to artists that do have local crafting. There's a local craft coffee shop that opened up around the corner from the Boys and Girls Club. I reached out to them and said, hey, would you guys want to come down and sell coffee? They want to do a to-go bar. They can come sell coffee at the show. I'll be fine with that.
Why not?
I have no problem with it. I think it's about being part of a community, and it's not just a wrestling community. You have to be part of your community in itself. So I'm just going to keep doing what I can as long as we can.
Absolutely. And then beyond that, too, I understand there might be something in the works for May.
Yes. So big news is that to prove that I definitely really like a challenge, after the March 24th show at the Lincoln Room, we'll be back to the Lincoln Room on Sunday, May 12th, which is Mother's Day.
That's a challenge.
Yes. Now, the real challenge is going to be the fact that I would like to book 75% of that card to be women,
At least.
at least. The fun part is the fact that I have such a wide turnout for interest on this. It may not be that hard. It's just going to be really hard to eliminate people from the choice. But yeah, and it is, and I completely left it up to the local talent. You guys aren't booked in March, so that I could save you for May. That way, like I was telling Matt in the group, I was like, I want to encourage you guys to bring out your families, especially if it's Mother's Day. If they would want to watch you wrestle, please bring them and let me know, and I will take care of that. We're going to have a special seating section for the parents of the wrestlers. And I have some other very wonderful things planned for not just moms, but the single parents that did a lot of work raising these wrestlers to be everything that they're trying so hard to be.
That's important.
Yes. And to me, it was more about giving it back to the families too, because my dad got to see a wrestling show for the first time last show because he's never gone to one. We didn't watch wrestling when I was a kid.
Right.
And he was, ranting and raving at the end of it. He was like, all of you are so cool. I want to come back every time. And he's like, we got to get my clients down here. And my dad is he's the one, he's actually redoing our tag belts. And it was just so nice to see him so Jones. And he was like, this is amazing. And it's because the energy in that room. Everybody wanted to be there. Everybody gave it their all, and everybody really tried. And it does translate to that crowd. And they will be back. And all it is just you're going to have to jump on board, because once the seats are gone, it's standing room.
That's it.
So it's a great Mother's Day gift.
Right? And especially, and so here's my theory behind it too. So, okay, what if mom wants to be left alone? Okay, well, that would mean that you probably want to get everybody out of the house. That's a win, right? Okay, well, mom likes wrestling and never gets to go to anything. Well, mom gets to go too. And then there's food there, so mom doesn't have to cook.
Right.
And we usually have local artists that have small, inexpensive crafts, which means the kids can go buy something for mom at the show.
Make a whole day out of it.
I try to. I even worked it out with, I have potentially magicians coming for the kids and doing balloon animals and sand art before the show starts.
Nice.
So we're working on that too.
Very
In
cool.
the summer they have bouncy houses. So, oh, I see somebody smiling. There's a small child very excited for bouncy houses.
Can talent partake in the bouncy houses
Yes. Yes. Talent can participate.
If you go in the bouncy house, that image is going on the show.
Yeah, you know how this goes. We have 2 hours after the show to eat and have fun. Just bouncy house before you eat. That way, we don't have to hose it down. I don't think they'll appreciate that.
Duly noted.
So, any last words?
Come see Kaiju Rising. Monster Island's officially open. It's been a very long journey for Kaiju. We've done a lot of rebranding, a lot of big changes. And honestly, it is the definition of a small business. We really are just trying to come out here and make something completely different.
It's got nothing to do with Kaiju Big Battle now.
No, but the funny thing is I have worked their ring rentals, and they are the sweetest people. And I have discussed with them potentially having the suits come out to one of our shows and maybe doing some spotlight matches with them, because anybody in wrestling knows that is like a resume moment. Is like saying that you put on one of the suits for Kaiju Big Battle. So I humbly have already, and I will continuously extend an invitation out to Kaiju Big Battle. Anytime they want spot or talent, anything, they have me. They were so amazing when I went out there. I was like so scared to talk to them, thinking like, they're gonna think I'm competition. And he was like, no, we clearly have very different products. Very clearly.
But for the 24th, what can people look forward to the most?
Well, I am a big talker when it comes to Mike Skyros. We already know that.
Right. Any other matches?
He has, so the rest of 2024, and this is going to definitely be a grand announcement on this one. The rest of 2024, Mike Skyros will have only first-time opponents. That's it.
That's it.
All 5 of his shows, all 5 of his appearances, as long as he's booked on the show, it will be guaranteed somebody he's never wrestled before. I am very adamant about it. I'm working on something with LSG.
Okay.
I already have PJ Savage in the books for
Yes,
that.
yes.
Those were 2 very highly requested matches. And for March 24th, we actually took the opportunity to let one of our debuts kind of shift himself in the lineup by going above and beyond, because everybody knows in wrestling, it's what you give in is what gets you seen the most. And this young man was so adamant about helping, being at the show, even if he's not booked, that I really wanted to I saw some of his footage with Cade last week, and I was like, I have to book him. So we reached out, and so Mike Skyros on March 24th will be going against Michael Mistera. So
That's somebody I've never even heard of.
So he will now be at the next Victory Pro Wrestling show. He is on their primary roster. He was just an ace this past weekend and fought Cade Lothbrok, and Cade even said he was a very good opponent. And I was like, okay, cool, even better. I was supposed to be at that show because I was going to scout him. But it's okay. I've met him at Victory, so it should be okay. Yeah, so I'm very excited for that. Mike was like, ooh, he wasn't even on my radar. I was like, that's what I'm doing here. Because I think it is about getting them out of those triangulation zones. Get them into new stuff. People move all the time. What do you do if you move? You got to learn all new people. Might as well know if you could do it now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%.
Anything else?
No, I mean, like I said, Ashley, I am very happy to be a part of Kaiju. It was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to what's happening in the future. And so for all those that may be watching, where can they find more information on Kaiju?
Well, so we have a whole lot of social media going on. The primary ones are typically our Facebook fan page, which we actually post everything live to it. It has all of our ticket sale sites. I will be putting footage up on it eventually. We are still building our website, mostly because I am still organizing exactly where I want things. I'm a little articulate with that. But Instagram, Real KPW, Kaiju Pro, it is Cthulhucha, because our mascot, Lulu. The Cthulhu Lucha. So yes, so feel free to check us out, Facebook. We do have our YouTube still up with our older stuff. Feel free to go check out our archives and see what we've been starting from the very beginning. And if you ever have questions, honestly, hit us up on the social medias. We're really great about, especially when fans reach out, we're all about answering questions.
Very responsive.
Oh, very responsive. Like usually the most common question I get from fans is, is there alcohol on site? And I'm like, no. There isn't, and that's because of the sobriety is a big thing in Bristol. So we want to make that encouraging environment.
Right.
But it's not a crazy question. I'm glad people ask, because it's like, well, if you're planning on coming and getting a whole lot of drunk, it's not going to work.
Not there.
I mean,
there's
Not
places
this
to drink
time.
in Bristol.
There's places to drink, and we will have references. But yes, so feel free to come join us out at the Lincoln Room, 38 Barlow Street on Sunday, March 24th, and our bell time will be 2 p.m. We'll be opening doors between 1:15 and 1:30.
So get there at 1:15. Get there at 12:45.
Yes. Well, pre-sale seats get first admission.
Right.
So I do that because, well, you already bought your tickets. Come on in. We check in right at the door. It's easy peasy. You get a digital ticket. If you want physical tickets, just reach out to our system, one of our pages, and we can actually mail them out. Not a big deal. We have physical tickets as well. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ashley.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for having
Ashley.
me.
And Jay, you know what to do.
I'm Hollywood J. Williams. Good night. Good luck. We'll see you next week. Stay tuned.